Right, what we thought we'd do is we're going to try and do something a little bit different. Still using Foamex, but we think we had to make a wagon for the crane which I've been building. So I used Foamex to do the small sides. It turned out quite reasonable. We changed it to look a little bit more English. Took those bits out. We just did a plain side with hinges on. We still got a little bit more work to do on it, but when we'd done that we thought, well, actually we could make some quite a nice wagon with the same thing. So what we propose to do is we're going to make an actual box van with the sliding doors on, very similar to the one on the Linton and Barnstable Railway, so I can copy something similar to that. So what I'm going to do first off is remove everything on the sides, all these bits. So what I'll do is I'll take a saw to these, saw them all off, and end up with a clean side. So it's first thing to do is just take off the wheels. Now again, they've got plastic wheels. This is that very cheap chassis you can buy. It's on the eBay site. I think they're about 34 quid for two, so you're looking about £17 each. I'm going to change the couplings because obviously I use chopper couplings on all mine. I may eventually change the wheels and put some metal wheels on, turn some up and make them fit. But I'll see out first how good they come out. So if you're going to do the version with a buffer on it, we need to keep this buffer, or we need to no, I think you'd still have to cut this off because you'd have to attach a buffer to that, otherwise it will bend. So the first thing to do is remove all these bits. So I'm going to stand up and take them off. So what I do first is there's a slight overlap on their bit of decking. Now as we aren't going to use theirs, we'll just take everything off. So I cut in between all of them, all the way down, and down there as well. And once I've got them cut, I can turn it round, follow into theirs. This just makes it a little bit easier to sew. Same that way. There's another one. So what we've done is now just cut all them back just so it's level, and then to take a razor saw and saw them off flush with the side. So it's a case of so what I've done is quickly sawed them off. The ends are exactly the same. Seems a shame to buy a new wagon and sew it to pieces, but a good razor saw soon takes care of all that detail. Take them off. There's a little tiny bits on there. So you get it all the way down. Same with that one, I have to swap hand sides. missing. There's a bit of sewing on that one. Take all those bits off, them bits, and the same with the buffer. So obviously that goes in there. So we don't need these because we're going to come over a little bit tougher, this piece. It's a little bit thicker. Once you get through it, it's not so bad. With all these things, keep your hands out the way. Right, so what we've done is I've took everything that side. I've took it all off. So now it's just a matter of making sure everything's taken off. Any little extra bits on there. I mean, the easiest way of doing this is just with a file. Just take your time. Get it to where it's roughly right. A little bit of coarse sand Emery paper. And a bit of smooth. And then just literally rub it off so it's nice and flat. Take all the bits we don't need. And what we've done there is taken that down all the way. It's a bit messy. I suggest once you've done this bit, is you do what I do, is clean up and over up so it don't get everywhere. So we've done that part. Check the end. Again, there's a couple of little parts on there. It just needs to be a little bit flatter. Take those off. And just keep that as level as you can keep it. And there we are. That's the part we need. We've gone right round. This will be repainted, obviously. We'll just spray this black when it comes to it. I probably won't do any more than just give you a quick coat of spray. There's no reason to change anything underneath. it's a wagon. On the top of this, there's a couple of little lugs, which are just across there. There's a little bar, a couple of little bits on there, and a couple of bits there. They're only small. They were just to hold their planking in place, I think, or their sides. Again, just cut them off. We don't need it. We ain't bothered about this floor. We're not going to use that floor. When we make the wagon, we're going to put a new floor in as well. Like I can say, it gets very black. So now I've done that part. The answer now is give it a hoover, and I'll show you how I'm going to make the next parts. Right, so what we're going to do first is the two sides. So I'm just going to measure those, and they are in metric 350, 360, 368 centimetres, as far as I can see. I'm not good at metric, as you all know, so to me it's 4.5 plus a 16th, but I'll work in miles. But in metric, as far as I can see, it's 368 millimetres. So the first job to do is square this up, which I have just cut. Always make sure you've got a nice square edge to work from. This is a little bit of 3mm Foamex. I think I got this out of the skip, so I'll just cut that off. And you can see that black stuff, even though your hoover gets everywhere. Right, so first job is to mark this. And the same there. And then just connect those two up. That's one. So I'll pop that to one side. That'll do the ends. Now the outside part I did at 4 inches. I have done one side, but I'll just show you how I made it. So I made this one 4 inches, and from there it just overlaps a little bit. So I'm going to cut 4 inches off first. Now if you was going to be short of Foamex board and what have you, and it was tight, you could actually put this on as strips. It's a little bit difficult because the way I did it, it's really tight with the bottom piece because I put a door in it. So I think you're going to have to do it this way rather than the other way. So the first one is just cutting literally this one off. And as you know, found my scraper. I always like to tend to just run my lines in, and then I know where they're going. Again, keep your fingers away, nice and straight. Keep your pressure on, and it just comes off as easy as that. It's only 3mm. So that's the outside part. Right, and the next one, in my size, is 3 3/4. Obviously you just do a metric equivalent as near as you could get it. And then I'll cut that one off as well. Like I said, I generally score that, but I just went down straight. So that's me 2 pieces for the side. And as what I'm doing is, I'm going to glue them together like so. So you've got a rebate. And then when that goes onto there, that rebate will go like that, and it'll go so far down the side. You can see that easy enough. So the first stage is to mark the smaller one out, because this is the planks. The outside one's just the framing. So what I measured at this end was 5mm, and square it off. Smaller square, like so, and like so. And then I did 5 inches from the edge, right from that edge to there, and drew a line, and the same that way, 5 inches, and drew a line, and then squared that one off. Light pencil lines, nothing more. Then I drew on the top, I did 5mm again. So I've decided this is going to be the top. This is where I can see it. Make sure you're nice and square. And then the bottom, a load of quarter. And draw that along the full length. So that's as far as I wanted to go with that. That's all I've done. So now I'm going to divide that into planks. So I decided to go with centimetres and just drew a centimetre for each plank, like so, and the same at this end. Like that. And then again connect them up, whereas we're cutting the middle piece out because we're going to have open doors on it as well, or doors what might even try and do it with doors while open. Makes for a different little thing, I suppose. It'd be like Pat's goods sheds where we did the doors what opened and then I pinned them together so they didn't on the railway, because I'd be forever knocking them off with engines. But I know there's a lot of people who don't like them to open and things like that. Good guard that everything's running level is to just look under your roller at the ends. You can see you're just keeping in line with the bottom of the board. And the same with that one. Just one more line. You don't really need this line, but I like to put them in because that's where they are. And that's again 5mm in from that 5-inch one. So now we're just going to go in between those two lines. Like so. I'm going to do that one along there. Right, that one goes on there. Right, and them there. Same with that one. And the same with that one. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to remove this piece. That piece there. But first off, what I'll do is, I've got the other lines to do, is what I do then is each one of these I'll just run over again. Right, so all that's done is make them deeper. And then what I do then is, because we're doing wood, I just don't put as much pressure on and just go down with them. What I've done is just these lines, and then what I'm going to do is carry them through. So first part is that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. And this one at the top wants to be 50mm, and the bottom one wants to be, I've half done it, it's 1/4 inch. And same at that side, and this end 50mm. So what we're going to do now is join those up. Like so, and the same at the bottom. Like so. Now if you wanted to, what you could do is just add a very, very small amount onto there, say a 1/16. I cut mine, I've already done one side, and what I did was I cut that exact, and it is exact to this plank, but if you gave it just a little tiny bit more, just a fraction, I don't even think a 1/16, probably a millimetre, but that would give you something to glue onto when you glue this part back in again. So once I've done them, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to draw my framework in. So this is basically a frame. So I'm going to all the way around. Same on that one. Same on that one. And the last one is there. And if we're doing making sure we're lined up both ends, that one, it'll be easy to stand up and do it. So you go in and from there to there, all the way down, And the same with that one, just have that little tiny piece on. It's probably millimetres, much stupid like that. But I found I just didn't have enough to glue. I don't think it'd make a massive difference once it's all together. I would think it'd be more sensible just to be slightly open. I don't think anybody would notice anyway. So once we've done that, we can then cut these out. So what we're going to do now is just literally cut all this out. You always find with this board, one way is a lot easier than the other, and it happens to be this way. It's cutting so easy, it's ridiculous, so soft. But when you do get it where it is cutting really easy, a little bit more care, because you could go flying through and cut bits off you don't want to cut off. Turn that one down. So that's that one, and then go the other way. Like I say, it's quite wasteful this way. You could theoretically put strips in, but I think you'd find it very difficult to glue it all together. So I think you've got to go it this way, but it is an idea of how I did it. If you've got a better way of doing it, then it's always best to go with your own. Again, exactly the same as you're cutting windows out, every corner. Even though if you know it's been cut, just to test it and make sure you don't get complacent, just pull a piece out and rip a piece off or whatever. And then take all them out. See what I mean? There's one. That's it. And that's that piece. So like I say, we'll save those pieces. Pat can always find use for them. And there. So what we're going to do now is, that's the outside. This is the top. So what we're going to do is glue that onto there. And as you can see now, you just drops down a little piece, and it did. And it gives you that, if it's level at the top, you've got that rebate to fasten it to the side and to overlap that side. So what I'll do now is, I need to just score these planks in, the end one, because you will see that, yep, they did, just to go a bit further with them. Rub my pencil mark out. Same on that side. And just fill them in all the way down. Just draw myself a line. That's it. That's it, just a few lines on there, and then we're going to drop that on top of there like that. And what we'll do then is we'll cut the middle piece out at the bottom, that piece, and I'll show you where that goes. So I'm going to stick these on now. So I do find the easiest way, now when you put lines in it, it does flex a little bit. This is how I'm going to do the roof, so it bends easier. I tend to glue just one edge. And then line it up with that one. Nice and square at the top. That's it. And then I can take them two pieces, but I'll glue these on first and then you can see it. So what you do then is carefully lift it up. A little bit of glue all the way into the bottom of there. Make sure it's nice and square. A little bit of the activator to just make sure everything works in. Make sure it holds. Keep it nice and neat. That's one. Underneath. This one we'll be doing without activator shortly, because we need to nip and get some more. Now again, just stick them, make sure they're stuck, nice and square. And the last one is this one. That's it, and stick that one on to there. And that's our three on there. So what we do then is just turn it over. This is the piece we don't need. And that can be thrown. And that's our one part for there. Like I said, we've just got a little bit now to glue onto there, so you can just run a little bit of glue back into there. Don't overdo it because it doesn't need a lot. And the same on the other side. That's it, and that'll just catch that edge at the bottom. So that's our first part of that one, and the next part is, we know that's the top, so we're now going to put the cross braces in. So the easiest way of doing that one, I'll just pop that to one side, is the piece we had spare is 50mm at 5mm. My metric ain't good. And 5 again. And cut this off. Should have rounded that off really, but I can do it second. And this one, take that piece off the back. So, you literally drop it onto there, so we can see it. Can you see it there?
Yes, thank you.
Mark it off. Make sure you're roughly in the corners. Ground down that way. And line across that way. Drop that in there. Same again on this side. And pop that back into there. Make sure you're not too tight. Just a tiny little touch off them. And there we are. So, and then the first one, make sure you're going the right way up, because obviously that's the roof. Yep, that's right, how I did the other one. So that is just literally like that. So the answer is now a little bit of glue on the back. Stick that in there. And just press it down so it's nice and straight. And then the same with the other one. That should be the right angle. I tend to always cut them just a fraction big, and I'd rather just trim them back than trying to cut them dead first time. And just have a couple of goes at it. Just a little tiny touch. That should do it. And then just drop that in like so. Well, that way around would be better. See, that's not concentrating. Right, so we've now put the side together. We've created a little rebate on the back of there. We've made sure it's fully dry, because the one thing we don't want to do is stick it to the chassis at the moment. If you wanted to, you could do, but not right from the off. And as you can see, the planks go right up to the edge. I would presume that's how they'd go. So there's our side, and what we did was we'd created a floor. So what we'd done is measure the width of the floor. So we'd measured that, which is 100mm actually, not quite, but more or less 100mm. So what we did was, because this is going on the part of it, becomes part of the floor like that, you've got to measure 100mm plus that little bit. So it's just sort of going over the edge. So when we stick this on, you've then got to drop that in there, make sure all your measurements are correct, drop that in there like that, push that in, press it down, glue it on, and we'll glue that in, and then you can see where I'm up to then. So what I'll do is I'll glue that in. So we've measured the floor, take off again, we've drawn the planks across, we've drawn them at 1 centimetre apart. I've done exactly the same as though it's a wood grain, wood grained them all, and the same with the end. I'll show you how to make the end. This one's just a piece what we put in just as a foam edge, just to give the roof something to stick on. We might actually put another one alongside of it. So what I did was, when I did the first corner, I cut a few more with that radius, so I kept them all the same. So I marked the floor, cut this so it goes through. This is the side we're going to glue to, so what we need to do is just put the floor back in as though there was an edge to the floor. So that's the edge of the floor. You can sand that off a little bit. This is exactly the same length as the floor from there to there, because the inside one again sits on top of it this time. So it all sort of adds strength to get everything locked up. When you finally get it, it's a bit flimsy at first, but once you start getting it in, like that part, it don't move. So the next bit is to make sure it all goes together, but I wanted it so I could take it off. So what I've done is I've just made this just slightly bigger, so that when that's in, that drops in. There's only a slight amount, but once it drops in, we can then fasten it wherever we think suitable. But then we could put a solid roof on because we can take it off. So what I'll do now is I'll stick this side on and show you how that works. So like I say, we've got a rebate. This becomes part of the floor inside. So it's that corner first, that one there, and then underneath that becomes part of the width. So it adds that extra little bit on. I can send you the measurements. It's exactly 4 inches across now, and if you measure that, it's about 1/16 under 4 inches. So once you've got this bit in, that inside side becomes part of the floor width. So I'll glue this first piece in. So again, start very steady. Just glue one edge. There's no reason to glue the others. So to me, this is the one what's the critical one. So I can glue that one. Not about, but well, I could do that one because that's not too bad. Glue on the inside of that one, and then drop that one in, making sure you square at the bottom. That's in there, and level underneath. And it's as simple as that, really. Make sure everything goes in tight. Give it a second or two to dry. I could use my active bit, but I've run out, so no, I can't use it. Yes, I can. Make sure everything's nice and tight. Keep it so it keeps it all compressed together. And you can see then that floor is in there. Next bit is to glue this part on. So again, just getting it plenty on there, and the same with that part, plenty on there. That's it, so it goes underneath. That one goes so it's pressed onto there. And same with that. Don't let that bend too much. And then take this glue off because we don't need that one now. Keep that in the box. And then what we're doing now is testing that to make sure it fits in there. Which it does. That goes in there like that. Maybe just take a little bit more off there. Slightest amounts, don't go Crazy. And that goes in there like so. So what we've got to do now we've got that one set up to go in, we've got to put all the planks back. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to stick the back in. As you can see, Pat started painting the inside. So what we're going to do is, first off, just stick this in. I should be able to get all sides on this because it's on a level. So this one goes, the extra wood bit goes on the outside. To stick that in, probably the easiest way is just to slide it in, press it down, make sure it's nice and square. Give you a few seconds to grab. Watch you don't stick it to your mat. Again, I'm just doing. Turn it up, make sure we're all nice and level. So that's that part in. And now what I've done is I've drawn out the back. So this is the piece what comes down like that. So I've drawn that out, marched my pieces in, and then just cut them out. So there we are. We've now got the completed shell fastened, well not fastened in, but ready to go in. Obviously when we screw this in, it'll pull it all down into the corners. There's plenty of space in there. We'll bolt it from the thingy, but I've got to make sure now that I can get my hands in to hold the screw to bolt it. It's not good putting it in there when I'm going to stick this roof on in full. Pat's painted the inside, as you can see. If you've just got this bit to paint, the foamer, I might just stick another foamer on the back of there, cut another couple of them bends, and just probably to give it a bit more thickness. And then I can glue my roof on. And as you can see, it's looking quite nice. Right, what we're going to do is, we had a look at trying to do it in one piece, it won't work. We then tried a roof from Garden Railways, just wasn't quite wide enough. So we seem to be having fun and games, but what we're going to do is, we're going to have a attempt at just planking it. So I'm going to start off at this edge, give yourself something nice and square on this edge. Not much of an overlap really, just so you can see there is one. Stick that one on, and then this edge, just work my way along carefully. I only stuck it so far down because if you try and do it all in one go, you can guarantee it'll just stick where you don't want it to stick, as I found out so often. And then stick that one on. So we've got that one. So, and then what I'll do is I've cut a couple more. So the answer now is drop the next one in, glue the edge, and just work our way around. I think what we'll do then, once we've got these in, is we'll use plastic card to finish it. So I'll stick this one, show you how this one goes in. So I'll put that one there. I'll use a thinner glue, I think, because this is a little bit heavy for this. Yeah, that's going off in it. Just can't see the top of that one, so I dropped it on the floor. So yeah, I'll just use a thinner one. Clean it off so it's nice and clean. That's it. And this one's a real thin glue, so it will go on a lot easier. And I think we need to stick it to this edge as well. So I'm going to go down the inside of there. And then just a bit on there. And then get me a strip. Line it up at this end and drop it in place. And then press that just slightly together. Make sure we don't get too much glue all over. And repeat it. So I've got another one. I'm going to do exactly the same thing again. We're going to go on there and just level it up and glue that edge. So what I'll do now is just glue this edge. All the way down. A little bit on there. Get me piece, not with the rounded edge, with the smooth edge at the top so it's square. Drop that in line. Make sure it's touching everywhere. Keep it as smooth as you can with the other pieces. And then once we've got them in, just to show you what I'd do, I'll just give it a quick spray, wipe it over, a little bit of emery paper, rub this onto there. And because there's slightly active super glue still inside of them graps, when you sand it, the dust actually fills it in as well. So I'll carry on and glue it all over. I'll get so far to the middle and then start at the other side and work my way back, and then so I know I can just put the middle piece in at the end. Right, there we are. We've sanded the roof off, so we've got all them strips now make a nice curve. I don't know how to finish that. I mean, you could finish with a paper and just varnish it, or you could finish with a really thin plastic card. Whatever you want how that finishes, I don't know, but I'll get to that bit when I get to it. What I'm going to do now is, like we said, we're going to make the doors open. So what I'm going to do is, where this comes over, I'm just going to trim a little piece off, because otherwise it's just going to catch the rail. So just carefully trim down there, just so it squares it off underneath. A little touch of sandpaper just to get it nice and level. like so. And then what I've got then is I bought some plastic hard channel. I think it was 4mm. I think the gap 4mm will give me just about enough to pop one of our pieces of Foamex in. So we've got a sliding door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick this one on here. Waste not, want not. I think you can do it in 2 pieces, so I'm just going to stick 2 pieces at the top rather than cut pieces off and just waste a piece. So I'm going to glue this first one. And then glue the top. That's it, turn it round. And that one wants to be there. So that one will be there like that. That's the first piece. The second piece, exactly the same. I mean, you could do it in one, as we're trying to do this as cheaply as possible. You're buying 4 pieces of this plastic card, what works out roughly £1.50 a length. So 4 pieces is £6. But if you buy 3, it's only £4.50. I'll have it in. And it's just literally that. Now what I've done is kept that as level as I can with the top. So it's nice and straight. No bends in it. And the bottom one, what I'm going to do is literally stick this one on. Level with the bottom of the frame, because we know that's square to that. So we pop that on more or less an identical plate to the other one, drop it on there, may pop out surplus, and that's our 2 channels on. And then we measure that. I've done the other side, so it should be the same, but I'll just measure it just to make absolutely certain. I got it to 3 7/8. It is exactly the same on this one. So the piece I cut off for there, theoretically it should go back in there. So if I do that, I did cut it very, very slightly under that, only by about 1mm. And then the doors were 4.5, so I made them 5 inches. The gap's 4.5, so the 5 inches just takes it slightly over. Use a square. Pop that in there. Moment of truth. You slide that in there, and there we are. And that's our sliding door. And what I'll do then is, obviously I made this so it didn't go past this end, which seemed logic to me. So I'll put a block on there so it don't go any further, probably there. So there's a block just on the edge of there to stop it going any further, and a block there where you'd have a, whatever they had, a chain or a bolt to fasten it so the door didn't come open when there was driving. And that's the next part done. So now what I'll do is I'll draw this out. I'm going to draw a framework in it. I think I'll do a bar in the middle round, and then the wood grain to match. Right, so we've now finished the sides, and we've put the door on, sliding door. We're going to put some little plates on all the 4 corners. So I'm going to trim this back on that side and that side, and I'll make 4 of these just to go on these corners like so. So all that is a piece of plastic card, 40 thou, just cut to shape, and then a little bit of rivet detail on each one, and I'm going to make 4 of them and put them on. The next bit I did was I got some, I think it's about 60 or 70 thou plastic card, quite a thickish one compared. I've got some little bits, yeah, probably 70 thou looking at that. I'm going to cut a brake handle, so that's the shape of the one I decided. I'm going to drop that on there like so, and drop it in so it goes like that. So I'm going to cut that one out of a piece of thicker plastic card. This little piece I cut out of 40 thou plastic cards, just a little bit of a triangle, round edge glued on there. Drill and mark it so we can bolt the handle on, and then just to make the brake, the actual brake block, we'll put that in there so there's a hanger made on there, and I'll show you how I did that bit. So the first bit was cutting these out. So what I did was I got the angle I wanted, I drew it out and then cut one out and made this part. So what I've done is kept the same angle which I cut off, and then take it back so that's 2.5 inches long at that end, drawn out what I needed, and then I'll cut that piece out first. So the first stage is to cut these out. I don't cut the shape of the handle out at first, I just go for the main part. With it being a bit thicker plastic card, it's not so easy to work with. That's your first part, and then that one joined up. And then make sure that corner's joined up, so we're not going to get. What you've got to do then is carefully break that off. I tend to use a pair of pliers and just gently ease it. These are flat, there's no teeth on them. It's just a matter of wiggling this off so you keep that angle. Nice and gentle. It's a little bit of a tricky job. But once it comes off, it comes off. Just take that little bit of a bend out what I put into it. So that's my part for the handle. What I shall do is, because I might repeat this, is I'll keep that piece of plastic card. With it being a bit thicker, I'll keep it, won't alter the shape. If I need to make another one, I'll put that on there, draw it back to where it is, draw a line, and then I'm ready to make another handle. So I can put that mark on there. I know where I'm going to be when I come on to do another one. And then I shall save that in my little box over there, so I know that's for it to save. So that's thingy. So I've got my first part. So what I'll do now is just tidy this up where there's any little marks where you want the plastic cards being not right, and then I've got to cut these little bits off to form a handle. A little tiny notch in there, and then going back from there that's it. Take that one off, the same with that one. And the same with that one. And then it's a matter of getting a little piece of emery or a little board and nail file, what I tend to do is use a bit of Foamex, glue some one side rough, one side smooth onto there, and just cut them into thin strips, so it makes like a nail file but with the proper stuff on it for modelling. Just file them up. File them edges off. Like so. Same with this one. And the last one. Tend to keep your fingers under things so it supports it, so you're not trying to break it. One of the mistakes a lot of people make is to just file it like that, and you'll just break things off, and you shouldn't have to do that. There's no point. Just a little bit of a round edge on that corner. Take off all the little marks of the cutting marks. Sand it down, but the fact that I want to keep them the same, I'm going to use the same one, so that I'm going to do like that. Mark there. You can see it's a little bit tougher to cut is this one. Take that corner off. Just round that off a bit. Hit me another one. That's it.
Very good.
Right, so if you haven't got this, obviously I've already made one, so if you're making yours, the angle on there isn't critical, it's whatever you want it to be. I thought, looking at the pictures of the ones on the L&B, they were just slightly leaning forward, so I just made mine there. The answer to it is when you made one, keep the piece, and then you can make all the rest look the same. So I've just pushed mine so it's going forward slightly and made it like that. So there's my handle. So what I need now is, like I says, is one of these. So I've made a little bracket which this will fasten to. So now what I'm going to do is mark this one in the centre, like so, where I want to drill it. Again, just there, and then just pop that through with a drill. I use a pillar drill, but you could just use a hand drill. It's nothing, or even a what you call it drill, twist drill in your hands. You'll all do the same job. It's nothing complex. I mean, I just use the right size drill. I can put it in a little hand drill and show you what I mean. There it is. So I'll take it out, pop it in there. By the way, we are getting new tables. We are moving slightly down there a bit, so it doesn't matter if I drill a hole in this. So there's the first part. So I've made that with a little hole in it. Get this where you want it on here, so it's virtually level and looks nice and neat on there. Pencil line in there as well, and then just a little dot so it gets your drill, and drill that through as well. So that's them two pieces. What I use then is, I do have a lot, with it being building the engines as well, I have a lot of small nuts and bolts. I think this is 8BA, looking at my numbers. I'm sure that's 8BAs. So I'm using a 1/2 inch 8BA nut and bolt. You can get these most places, or you can use metric, it's whatever you're more happy with. Then I put it through there, and obviously you're coming back a little bit of depth, so I decided 2 nuts would be more advantageous for me. Again, they're not going to function, so I'm not going to be thinking, I mean, anybody who sits and moves the brake gear on a model is, you know, I mean, it's not going to really happen in real life. They're just models, so it's just giving it a bit of something to look like it. So there's your first part. Your next part, I'm just going to bolt it through there. Have another nut somewhere. No, I just pushed it somewhere, but then I'll just get one out of the tin. There's it. Again, just a little nut on this end. I can get them on. That's it. So again, you could glue these if you wanted. It's whatever suits you. And there's our first part, just made for an handle. So that's going to bolt on there like that. So what I'm going to make now, there's a little ratchet what it goes into. I'm not going to put the ratchets in. I don't see. Again, it's not something you'd know. When you cut plastic out, it leaves a little ridge on them. So you sometimes just as well cutting them off. So what I then do is, the one I measured on the other side, I think was 1.5 inches. So I can measure that one. Yeah, it is 1.5 inches. And I did it at 3/16. So it's 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches. Chop them off. Like so. And then I used a tiny little piece of the, what you call it, the thicker one, and just cut a couple of blocks like so. That's it. And then what I did was just literally, they look a bit wide to me. I'm going to trim them down. They just look slightly wide, and maybe me just cut them a bit big. So if you're going to trim them down, just so I'm happy, that's better. And the same with that one. I'm just going to take, I think I just went over my pencil down a little bit. That's it, just take them off. That looks better. So what I do then is just literally tiny little piece of glue on each end. Don't overdo the super glue. Pick the first piece up. You can get it to pick up. Bring it in there. And same with the other one. Let's use my smaller one, which was sharper. Again, just there. And then we're doing repeat the operation. Yeah, that's the one. Again. Just lift that up. Drop that nice and square. That's it. Just make sure everything's running that way. And then what we can do then is, just to speed that up, I'll just give that a spray. That's it. And then I just trim that up so it's nice and neat. And that side.
Can I just see what you're aiming at?
Just trimming these out so it's nice. Just squaring everything off sort of thing really. That's it. So what I've made there is a tiny little slot. Again, tidy it all up, because it'd be difficult to tidy up once it's on. Make sure everything's nice and neat. Same at that end. That one. And then that one. And that's what we've made. Can you see that? Get that out of your way. That little piece there. Yep, right. And what that is, obviously we use the same thickness plastic card. That will just pop in there like that. It will move if you need it to, and it will move on there. Like I said, that's your choice entirely. So that's our brake handle complete. So what we need to do now is, because I've already done my part, the only way I can make these models is to do the bit myself first. I've already stuck this piece on. So what I'll do is I'll measure that back to there, which from that edge is 2 3/8. So I'll measure 2 3/8 from there. Draw a line, which is there, and then I need a little piece to go on, which is 3/4 of an inch. So I've got a piece to make 3/4 of an inch off there, and what I've used for this piece is what I cut out these spars with. So I'm back to 3mm Foamex, and that will bring it level with everything else on there. So what I'm going to do then is drop this on there and then just glue it on, and then I can glue this piece and it gives you that bit of support. So I'll glue this one on next. I'll just make sure exactly where with the back edge of the front edge. Check it, make sure everything's nice and square. Yep, that looks alright by me. That looks good. Yep. Tiny bit of glue. Pop that on there and just drop that in. Making sure you've got it pretty square. On there. Take your other piece off, which is the piece you've just made. Drop that on there and just glue that bit in. So of course you've now got all that piece to glue it onto. And there we are, that's that piece in position. So we've now got that in, we can now pop our bracket in, find out where we're happy on there, and there's our brakes. Nice and simple, nothing complex. So I will glue this one on now, unbolt it, take that bit off, glue these bits on because they'll be sprayed. Don't glue this onto that bit, because if you take the top off, this one's gluing onto the frame itself. If you glue it onto there, you won't get the top off. So just make sure when you glue this, you only glue that bottom part. So you're looking at where it is, make sure it's square. You want that just beyond the edge. So if that's just beyond the edge, when you pull that down, it would lock like that. So I'm going to glue that there, so I can roughly see where I am. For a little mark if you're not 100%, move it to one side. And like I say, don't get it to this top edge, don't get it onto there. Put it back. That's it, a bit further along that way. There, I'm happy there. That's it. And then what you've done then is you've glued this to the actual chassis. Then when you paint this piece of the chassis, respray it, it'll be black. And there we are. That's the brakes on. So what I've got to do now is we decided to put some corners on. So what we're going to do is put some angle plates on each one. We decided to trim these back a bit for the doors. They will take it to go back to there, that's fine. And we'll put an angle plate on each one. Right, so there we are. This is our take on that, just that cheap chassis. Like I say, you can buy them off the eBay and what have you. I think they work out about £18–19 a piece. So it's just a basic chassis, nothing else to it. We've made everything else out of Foamex and plastic card. We've made it so our doors will open. I put some detail in, like the brakes on it. I've done the roof in pieces. You probably could do with a little bit of filler or something on there. They've come out pretty good. And there's just a couple of lines in it. I probably would rub that down again, bit of filler, and then repaint it. In my case, I'll probably do it white, but I mean that's all for yourselves. You could pick out all this detail in black. I probably won't. I'll probably just weather it a little bit, make it look a little bit more worn. The end panel, they could have a bracing bar on there and just go slightly under. That one, again, it's up to yourselves if you want to do that. What I shall probably do is just literally, I think I might just put that bracing bar on, but I'm not going to go wild on it. I need to put some brakes on it, the brake pipes. I think these would be fitted, so I'm going to put a couple of brake pipes on. There's a lad who did some with a spring and some wires. I'm going to have a go at doing his idea, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, and have a pop at doing them. And that's it. It's all there ready. Obviously you paint it to whatever colour you want to do it. I think it works out quite well. I think it's a nice looking wagon for what I would have said. The couplings, because I used Accucraft couplings and the new style, they costed me £7 for a pair. The Foamex, I would probably have got it out of a bin, or I've painted it only a small amount you're using. And the plastic art, again, minuscule little bits. The plastic channel, I think, cost me about £5 for this plastic channel, enough to do both sides. So you're looking, couplings, bit of channel, bit of Foamex. I bet you've done this for maybe £30–35. and it's a nice little wagon. Hope you enjoy it. I hope some of you have a go at it, and if you do out different and better than this one, let us know so we can have a go at it as well.